Hey everyone! Welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into the world of baking with a list of 10 must-have baking gadgets that will make your time in the kitchen so much easier and more fun. Let's get started. Baking is such a wonderful way to get creative, make delicious treats, and honestly, just de-stress a little. But let's be real, sometimes it can feel a bit overwhelming, especially if you're just starting out or if you don't have the right tools. That's where these amazing gadgets come in. I've spent so many hours in my kitchen, experimenting and figuring out what truly makes a difference, and I'm so excited to share my absolute favorites with you all. These aren't just fancy tools that look pretty on your counter, though some of them are super cute. These are the workhorses, the time savers, the things that help you get those perfect results every single time. Whether you dream of baking fluffy cakes, chewy cookies, beautiful bread, or intricate pastries, having these gadgets in your arsenal will totally elevate your baking game. Think less frustration and more ta-da moments. I promise, by the end of this video, you'll be wondering how you ever baked without them. So grab a notebook, maybe a little snack, baking talk always makes me hungry, and get ready to discover some incredible tools that will inspire you to bake up a storm. We're going to go through each one. I'll tell you why I love it, how it helps, and maybe even a few little tips and tricks I've picked up along the way. I'm so thrilled to share this list with you because I genuinely believe these gadgets can make baking more accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Let's get baking, or well, talking about baking gadgets first. Oh my goodness, kicking off our list is an absolute legend in the baking world, the stand mixer. You guys, if there's one investment piece I recommend for anyone serious about baking, or even just wanting to make baking a whole lot easier, it's this beauty. Think of it as your very own baking assistant, always ready to lend a powerful hand. Or rather, a powerful whisk, paddle, or dough hook. Before I had a stand mixer, I remember my arm getting so tired from creaming butter and sugar until it was perfectly light and fluffy. And kneading bread dough, let's just say it was a serious workout. This incredible machine takes all that effort away, leaving you with more time and energy to focus on the fun parts of baking, like decorating. The magic of a stand mixer lies in its consistent power and its ability to multitask. While it's busy whipping up a meringue to stiff, glossy peaks, or gently folding ingredients together, you can be prepping your next steps, measuring out other ingredients, or even, dare I say, cleaning up a little as you go. It's a true time saver. Most stand mixers come with a variety of attachments: a flat beater for mixing batters, a whisk attachment for whipping cream or egg whites, and a dough hook for kneading yeast doughs. This versatility means you can tackle a huge range of recipes, from delicate cakes and cookies to hearty breads and fluffy frostings, all with one super-powered machine. When you're looking at stand mixers, you'll notice different bowl sizes and motor strengths. For most home bakers, a 4.5 to 5 quart model is usually perfect. It's big enough to handle a batch of cookies or a couple of cake layers, but not so enormous that it takes over your whole kitchen counter. Some models even have power hubs, where you can attach other cool accessories like pasta makers or meat grinders, turning your mixer into a real kitchen powerhouse. I love how sturdy they are. A good stand mixer will be your baking companion for years and years, helping you create countless delicious memories. One of the biggest advantages, especially for recipes that require long mixing times, is the hands-free operation. Imagine trying to whip egg whites for an angel food cake by hand for 10 to 15 minutes. With a stand mixer, you just set it and let it do its thing. This not only saves your arm muscles, but also ensures a much more consistent result. The constant, even mixing action incorporates air beautifully, leading to lighter cakes, fluffier frostings, and perfectly developed gluten in your bread doughs. It really does make a noticeable difference in the texture and quality of your baked goods. So, if you find yourself baking regularly, or you dream of tackling more complex recipes, a stand mixer is truly a game changer. It makes those big baking projects feel so much more manageable and, honestly, a lot more fun. It's an investment for sure, but one that pays off in delicious dividends every single time you use it. Plus, they come in so many cute colors now, it can really be a statement piece in your kitchen. I just adore mine and can't imagine my baking adventures without it. Next up on our must-have list are these wonderfully versatile things. Silicone baking mats. Oh, you guys, these have been such a revelation in my kitchen. If you're tired of wrestling with parchment paper that always wants to roll back up or scrubbing sticky messes off your baking sheets, then you absolutely need to get your hands on some of these. They're essentially non-stick, reusable liners for your baking pans, and they make baking and cleanup an absolute breeze. I use them for almost everything that goes into the oven on a sheet pan. One of the biggest benefits of silicone baking mats is their incredible non-stick surface. Cookies slide right off, roasted vegetables don't get stuck and burnt, and even sticky candies or caramels release with ease. This means you often don't need to use any extra grease or oil on your pans, which can be a little healthier and also saves on ingredients. Plus, because they're reusable, you're saving money in the long run by not constantly buying rolls of parchment paper or aluminum foil. Think of all the trees you'll be saving too. It's a win-win for your baking and for the planet. Another fantastic advantage is how they promote even baking. Silicone baking mats help to distribute heat more evenly across the bottom of your baked goods. This means no more cookies with burnt bottoms and raw centers. Everything tends to bake up more uniformly, with beautifully golden brown results. I've noticed a real difference in the consistency of my cookies since I started using them regularly. They also provide a bit of insulation, which can prevent delicate items from browning too quickly on the bottom. It's like a little magic carpet for your treats. Cleaning these mats is so incredibly easy, which is a huge plus in my book because, let's be honest, who loves scrubbing pans? Most of the time, a quick wipe with a damp cloth is all they need. For stickier messes, a little soap and water does the trick, and they air dry super fast. They also roll up or lie flat for easy storage, so they don't take up much space in your kitchen drawers or cupboards. I have a few in different sizes to fit all my various baking sheets, and they are constantly in rotation in my kitchen. Beyond just lining baking sheets for cookies or pastries, silicone mats are also great for kneading sticky doughs directly on your countertop. The dough is less likely to stick to the mat than to a floured surface, meaning you use less flour overall, which can be important for certain recipes. You can also use them for rolling out pie crusts or fondant, as they provide a clean, non-stick work surface. Some even come with handy measurement guides printed right on them. Seriously, these mats are so versatile and make such a difference in everyday baking tasks. Alright, bakers, let's talk about something that might seem a little nerdy, but trust me, it's a total game changer for achieving consistent and perfect baking results: the digital kitchen scale. I know, many of us grew up using measuring cups, and they definitely have their place. But when it comes to baking, especially for more finicky recipes like macarons or artisanal breads, measuring your ingredients by weight instead of volume is the secret to unlocking incredible accuracy. And a digital kitchen scale is your best friend for doing just that. Why is weight so much better than volume for baking? Well, think about flour. If you scoop flour into a measuring cup, the amount you get can vary wildly depending on how packed the flour is, whether you sifted it first or even how humid it is that day. 1 cup of flour can weigh anywhere from 4 to 6 ounces. That's a huge difference, and it can seriously impact the texture of your baked goods, leading to dry cakes or tough cookies. A digital scale eliminates all that guesswork. When a recipe calls for 120 grams of flour, you know you're getting exactly 120 grams every single time. This consistency is what professional bakers rely on, and it's what will help you replicate your favorite recipes perfectly time after time. No more wondering why your cake turned out amazing one day and a bit off the next. Most digital scales also have a super handy tare function. This means you can place your bowl on the scale, press the tare button to zero it out, and then add your first ingredient. Then you can press tare again and add your next ingredient right into the same bowl without having to measure everything separately and dirty a bunch of cups. It's so efficient and means less washing up. Yay! Digital kitchen scales are also fantastic for portioning dough for rolls or cookies, ensuring they're all the same size and bake evenly. Or if you're splitting batter between cake pans, you can weigh the batter in each pan to make sure your layers are perfectly even. It's these little details that can take your baking from good to great. They're also super useful for measuring liquids, as most scales can switch between grams, ounces, pounds, and even milliliters. This is especially helpful when working with international recipes that might use different units of measurement. Don't be intimidated by the idea of using a scale. They are incredibly user-friendly. Most have a simple on-off button, a unit button, and the tare button. They're relatively inexpensive, don't take up much counter space, and the batteries last for ages. Honestly, once you start baking with a scale, you'll wonder how you ever managed without it. It brings such a sense of confidence and precision to your baking, and the results really do speak for themselves. So if you're ready to level up your baking game, a digital kitchen scale is an absolute must-have gadget. Chapter 4. Now, even though I just raved about how amazing digital scales are, we absolutely cannot forget about the trusty classics measuring cups and spoons. These are fundamental tools in any kitchen, especially for baking. While a scale is fantastic for precision with dry ingredients like flour and sugar, measuring cups and spoons are still essential for many things, particularly liquids and smaller quantities of spices or leavening agents. Having a good, accurate set of both is key to baking success, no matter your skill level. Let's talk about measuring cups first. It's really important to know that there are different types for dry and liquid ingredients, and using the right one makes a difference. Dry measuring cups are usually made of metal or plastic and are designed to be filled to the top and then leveled off with a straight edge. This is perfect for things like flour, sugar, cocoa powder, or chocolate chips. They typically come in sets like 1/4 cup, 1/3 cup, 1/2 cup, and 1 cup. I love having a sturdy set that nests together for easy storage. Liquid measuring cups, on the other hand, are usually made of clear glass or plastic and have a spout for easy pouring. They have measurement markings on the side, well below the rim, so you can fill them to the correct line without spilling. To get an accurate reading, you need to place the cup on a flat surface and look at the measurement at eye level. These are essential for measuring things like milk, water, oil, or molasses. Trying to measure liquids in a dry measuring cup is a recipe for spills and inaccurate amounts. Then we have our adorable and oh so important measuring spoons. These are used for those smaller amounts of ingredients that can make a big impact on your recipe. Think baking soda, baking powder, salt, vanilla extract, and spices. A standard set usually includes 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, and 1 tablespoon. I recommend getting a set that's made of metal because they're more durable and less likely to warp or have the measurements rub off over time. Some sets even come with fun in-between sizes like 1/8 teaspoon or 2/3 teaspoon, which can be super handy for certain recipes. Accuracy with these tools is just as important as with a scale. When measuring dry ingredients with spoons like flour or cocoa powder, you should scoop and then level it off, just like with dry measuring cups. For liquids, fill the spoon carefully to the brim. It might seem like a tiny detail, but even a little too much baking powder or not enough salt can really change the outcome of your delicious treats. So invest in good quality, clearly marked measuring cups and spoons. They are the unsung heroes of the baking world and truly indispensable. Chapter 5. Let's roll into our next essential baking gadget, the rolling pin. This might seem like a simple tool, but oh boy, is it crucial for so many delicious baked goods. From perfectly flaky pie crusts and evenly thin sugar cookies ready for decorating, to smooth sheets of fondant for covering cakes, a good rolling pin is your best friend for achieving that uniform thickness and beautiful finish. Without one, you'd be trying to flatten dough with a wine bottle, and trust me, I've been there in a pinch, and it's not nearly as effective or fun. There are a few different types of rolling pins out there, and each has its own charm and advantages. The most common one you'll see is the traditional American rolling pin, which usually has a cylindrical roller, often made of wood or marble, with handles on either side. These are great for general use and provide good leverage. Then there's the French rolling pin, which is my personal favorite for a lot of tasks. These are typically tapered at the ends and don't have handles, or they are a straight dowel. The tapered design gives you a bit more control and feel for the dough, which is fantastic for delicate pastries. Marble rolling pins are another popular choice, especially because they can be chilled, which helps keep buttery doughs like pie crust or puff pastry cool while you're rolling them out. This prevents the butter from melting, which is key to achieving those lovely flaky layers. Wooden rolling pins are classic and reliable, but it's important to care for them properly to prevent cracking. Silicone rolling pins are also available and offer a non-stick surface, which can be helpful for stickier doughs. Whichever material you choose, the goal is the same: to roll out your dough evenly and smoothly. One of the biggest challenges when rolling out dough is getting it to an even thickness. If your cookie dough is thicker in some spots and thinner in others, the thin parts will bake much faster and might burn before the thicker parts are done. That's where some nifty rolling pin accessories or specialized pins come in handy. You can get rolling pin guide rings, which are little silicone rings of different thicknesses that you slip onto the ends of your pin. This ensures your dough is rolled to a precise, uniform height. Some rolling pins even have adjustable thickness settings built right in. How cool is that? So whether you're making cut-out cookies for a holiday, a beautiful lattice top for a pie, homemade pasta, or even just crackers, a reliable rolling pin is absolutely indispensable. It's a tool that requires a little bit of practice to master, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be rolling out perfect sheets of dough like a pro. Look for one that feels comfortable in your hands, has a good weight to it, and suits the types of baking you do most often. It's a simple yet powerful gadget that opens up a whole world of baking possibilities. Chapter 6. Next on our list is a small but mighty tool that you'll find yourself reaching for surprisingly often: the pastry brush. This isn't just for fancy pastry chefs, it's an incredibly useful gadget for everyday baking tasks. From applying a delicate egg wash to your pie crusts for that beautiful golden brown sheen, to greasing baking pans evenly, or even brushing away excess flour from your dough, a good pastry brush is a true kitchen workhorse. It's one of those tools that, once you have it, you'll discover so many uses for it. Pastry brushes come in a couple of main types, primarily distinguished by their bristles, natural bristles or silicone bristles. Traditional pastry brushes often have natural bristles, like boar hair, which are very soft and flexible. They are excellent for applying thin, even coats of liquids like egg washes or melted butter without damaging delicate doughs. They hold liquids well and can get into all the nooks and crannies. However, they can sometimes shed bristles and require a bit more care when cleaning, as you need to make sure they dry thoroughly to prevent mildew. Then we have silicone pastry brushes, which have become super popular, and for good reason. Silicone bristles are heat resistant, so you can use them for basting hot foods or brushing sauces onto items on the grill. They are also incredibly easy to clean, often dishwasher safe, and they don't shed bristles, which is a big plus. While some bakers feel they don't hold thin liquids quite as well as natural bristles, the convenience and durability of silicone brushes make them a fantastic option for most home bakers. I actually have both types in my kitchen because they each have their strengths. So, what exactly do you use a pastry brush for? Oh, so many things. As I mentioned, applying an egg wash, a mix of beaten egg and a little water or milk to breads, pies and pastries before baking gives them a gorgeous glossy golden finish. It's also perfect for brushing melted butter onto phyllo dough for baklava, greasing cake pans and muffin tins thoroughly to prevent sticking, or even lightly oiling a griddle. You can use it to brush milk or cream onto scones for a softer crust, or to apply simple syrups to cakes to keep them moist. Beyond liquids, a dry pastry brush is also super handy for sweeping away excess flour from your countertop after rolling out dough, or from the surface of the dough itself before baking. It's much gentler than using your hands or a cloth. When choosing a pastry brush, look for one with bristles that are securely attached and a comfortable handle. Whether you opt for natural or silicone, having at least one good quality pastry brush in your baking toolkit will make so many tasks neater, easier, and give your baked goods a more professional, polished look. It's a small tool with a big impact. All right, my baking friends, let's talk about a step that's often overlooked but is so incredibly important for the final quality of your baked goods cooling. And for that, you absolutely need a good cooling rack. It might seem like a very simple piece of equipment, and it is, but its job is crucial. Placing your freshly baked cookies, cakes, or breads directly onto a solid surface to cool can lead to a very sad, soggy bottom. And nobody wants a soggy bottom, right? A cooling rack is the hero that prevents this baking tragedy. The magic of a cooling rack lies in its open grid design. When you take your delicious creations out of the hot oven and place them on a cooling rack, air can circulate freely all around them, top, bottom, and sides. This airflow is key for a few reasons. Firstly, it helps the baked goods cool down evenly. Secondly, and perhaps most importantly, it allows steam and moisture to escape from the bottom of your treats. If that steam gets trapped underneath, it condenses and makes the bottom of your cookies or cake wet and soft, instead of perfectly crisp or tender. Think about those beautiful cookies you just pulled from the oven, perfectly golden with slightly crisp edges. If you leave them on the hot baking sheet, they'll continue to cook from the residual heat, potentially over baking. And if you transfer them straight to a plate, the bottoms will steam. But if you gently move them to a cooling rack, they stop baking almost immediately, and the air circulation ensures they maintain their wonderful texture. For cakes, cooling them properly on a rack before frosting is essential to prevent the frosting from melting into a gooey mess. Cooling racks come in various sizes and designs. Some are simple rectangular grids, while others might be round or even tiered to save counter space if you're baking a big batch of goodies. Look for racks that are sturdy and have small enough grid openings so that delicate cookies don't fall through. Stainless steel racks are a great option as they are durable and easy to clean. It's also handy to have a rack that's slightly elevated with little feet to ensure there's plenty of room for air to circulate underneath. I have several, and they are always in use. Beyond just cooling, these racks can also be used for glazing or decorating. Place your cake or cookies on the rack with a sheet of parchment paper or a baking tray underneath to catch any drips when you're pouring over a glaze or drizzling chocolate. It makes for a much neater process. So please don't underestimate the power of this humble gadget. A good cooling rack is an inexpensive but absolutely essential tool for ensuring your hard work in the kitchen results in perfectly textured, delicious baked goods from top to bottom. It's a simple step that makes a huge difference. Oh, this next set of gadgets is where the real fun and artistry in baking can shine through: piping bags and tips. If you've ever admired beautifully decorated cupcakes with swirls of fluffy frosting, intricately piped cookies, or cakes with elegant borders and rosettes, then you know the magic that these tools can create. Piping bags and tips allow you to apply frosting, cream, meringue, or even savory purees with precision and flair, turning your baked goods into stunning little masterpieces. And guess what? It's easier than you might think to get started. A piping bag is essentially a cone-shaped bag, usually made of plastic, disposable or reusable, silicone or canvas. You fill it with your frosting or other soft mixture, and then you snip off the tip, or use it with a coupler and a decorative metal or plastic tip to extrude the contents in a controlled way. Disposable plastic bags are super convenient for quick jobs or when working with multiple colors, as cleanup is as easy as just tossing the bag away. Reusable bags are more eco-friendly and can be very durable, but they do require thorough washing. The real stars of the show, though, are the piping tips. These little metal or plastic cones come in a dazzling array of shapes and sizes, and each one creates a different decorative effect. You have round tips for writing, dots and outlines, star tips for classic swirls, shells and rosettes, petal tips for creating realistic-looking flowers, leaf tips for adding foliage, and so many specialty tips for ruffles, basket weave patterns, and more. Building up a collection of tips can be so much fun, and experimenting with them is a joy. A coupler is a handy little two-part plastic device that allows you to change piping tips on the same bag of frosting. So useful. Using piping bags and tips does take a little bit of practice to get the hang of pressure control and movement, but it's a skill that's incredibly rewarding to learn. I recommend starting with some simple techniques, like practicing swirls on a piece of parchment paper, before you move on to your actual cupcakes. You can find so many wonderful tutorials online, maybe even on this channel soon, wink wink, to guide you. The key is to have your frosting at the right consistency, not too stiff and not too runny, for the best results. Piping isn't just for frosting cakes and cupcakes though. You can use piping bags to fill pastries like eclairs or cannolis, pipe meringue for cookies or pie toppings, create delicate Duchess potatoes, or even perfectly shaped choux pastry for cream puffs. Having a basic set of piping bags and a few essential tips, like a large star tip and a medium round tip, will open up so many creative possibilities in your baking. It's a fantastic way to add that personal, professional-looking touch to your homemade treats and really wow your friends and family. Okay, bakers, this next gadget is one that many people don't realize they need until they experience the frustration of inconsistent baking results. The oven thermometer. You might think, but my oven has a temperature dial. Isn't that accurate? Well, sadly, the temperature display or dial on your oven can often be quite inaccurate. It might say it's preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, that's about 175 degrees Celsius, but the actual internal temperature could be 25, 50, or even more degrees off. This discrepancy can wreak havoc on your carefully prepared recipes. An oven thermometer is a small, inexpensive device that you simply hang from an oven rack or place directly on it. It gives you a true reading of the actual temperature inside your oven cavity. This is so incredibly important because precise temperature control is one of the cornerstones of successful baking. If your oven is running too hot, your cakes might brown too quickly on the outside while remaining raw in the center, or your cookies might burn. If it's running too cool, your bakes might take forever, dry out, or not rise properly. It's a recipe for disappointment. Using an oven thermometer allows you to really get to know your oven. You might discover that your oven consistently runs 15 degrees hotter than the dial indicates. Once you know this, you can adjust your oven settings accordingly to achieve the correct baking temperature specified in your recipe. For example, if your recipe calls for 350 degrees and you know your oven runs 15 degrees hot, you'd set your oven dial to 335 degrees. It's like calibrating your most important baking appliance. This knowledge is power, and it leads to much more consistent and predictable results. It's also good to be aware that ovens can have hot spots, areas that are significantly hotter than others. An oven thermometer can help you identify these too. You can move it around to different spots in your oven, when it's cool of course, to check for variations. This information can help you decide where to best place your baked goods, or if you need to rotate your pans partway through baking to ensure even cooking. It's all about understanding the unique quirks of your specific oven, and an oven thermometer is the key to unlocking that understanding. These little thermometers are super easy to use and require no setup beyond just placing them inside your oven. Make sure you get one that's easy to read through the oven door, so you don't have to keep opening it, which lets heat escape. Investing in a reliable oven thermometer is one of the simplest and most effective things you can do to improve your baking. It takes the guesswork out of oven temperatures and helps ensure that your time, effort, and precious ingredients result in perfectly baked treats every single time. It's a small tool that makes a massive difference. And last, but certainly not least, on our list of must-have baking gadgets is the wonderfully versatile dough scraper, also often called a bench scraper. This might look like a very simple, unassuming tool, often just a flat piece of metal or plastic with a handle, but oh my goodness, it is one of the most useful and frequently reached for items in my baking toolkit. I use mine for so many different tasks, and once you have one, you'll wonder how you ever managed your dough-related adventures without it. The most obvious use for a dough scraper is, well, scraping dough. When you're kneading bread dough or working with sticky cookie dough on your countertop, some of it inevitably sticks. A dough scraper is perfect for cleanly lifting and turning the dough, and for scraping up all those stubborn bits from your work surface. This not only helps to incorporate all your ingredients properly, but also makes cleanup so much easier. No more sticky, doughy fingers trying to peel dough off the counter. The straight, sharp edge, if it's a metal one, does the job beautifully, but its talents don't stop there. A dough scraper is also fantastic for dividing dough. If you're making rolls, pizza bases, or portioning out dough for multiple loaves, the straight edge of a metal scraper can cut through dough cleanly and precisely, much better than trying to tear it or use a knife that might drag. This helps you get even portions, which means more uniform baking. Some dough scrapers even have measurement markings etched onto the blade, which is super handy for cutting dough into specific sizes. Another wonderful use for a bench scraper is cleaning your work surface. After you're done kneading or rolling, you can use the scraper to quickly and efficiently clear away stray flour, bits of dough, or even dried-on chocolate. It's much more effective than a sponge or cloth for those tougher stuck-on messes. I also use mine to transfer chopped nuts or chocolate chips from my cutting board to my mixing bowl. It's like a little shovel, and it's so much neater than trying to use your hands or a wobbly knife blade. Plastic dough scrapers, which are often more flexible and curved, are also incredibly useful, especially for scraping dough out of bowls. They conform to the curve of the bowl, ensuring you get every last bit of batter or dough, which means less waste and more deliciousness. Whether you choose a sturdy metal one for heavy-duty tasks, or a flexible plastic one for bowls, or hey, why not both? A dough scraper is an inexpensive, multifunctional tool that will make your baking life so much smoother and tidier. It's a true unsung hero of the kitchen. And there you have it, my top 10 must-have baking gadgets. I hope you found this list helpful and that it inspires you to try out some new tools in your baking adventures. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more baking tips and recipes. Happy baking! Seriously though, these gadgets have made such a difference in my own baking journey, making things easier, more precise, and honestly, just more fun. From the mighty stand mixer that does all the heavy lifting to the humble dough scraper that makes cleanup a breeze, each one plays a special role in creating those delicious treats we all love. I truly believe that having the right tools can unlock so much creativity and confidence in the kitchen. Maybe there was a gadget on this list that you've been curious about, or perhaps one that you didn't even know existed. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What's your absolute favorite can't live without baking gadget? Or is there one you're now super excited to try? Sharing our favorite tools and tips is what makes our baking community so wonderful and supportive. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking all things baking tech. I hope this has given you some great ideas for your own kitchen, or maybe even for a gift for the baker in your life. Remember, baking is all about joy and sharing, so grab your favorite gadgets, whip up something yummy and spread a little sweetness. Until next time, keep experimenting, keep learning, and most importantly, keep having fun in the kitchen. Bye, everyone!